Personal Power Part 2.
Yes.
Jim, what is this session all about?
Well, you know, we talked a little bit about duck talk, and we talked a little about eagle talk, and some of our limiting beliefs and some of our supporting beliefs. And this whole session is about getting yourself turned on, tapping into your peak performance so that you can accomplish your dreams and goals in life.
Fantastic. So look, if you are someone who's watching this now and you want to go more in life, this is definitely your session, because you're going to have your own personal power breakthrough.
And we have to answer it. You have to do it this way. 1, 2, 3.
Boom! Come behind the scenes now.
So I do want to talk a little bit about choices in life and making sure that we make the right choices to live a life of abundance versus a life of regret. Would that be okay? Right? So what I want you to do is find a page someplace, a full page, a blank page. And what I want you to do is I want you to write this down, and then I'll walk you through it. Number 1 is over in this corner, I want you to write the word fear. In this corner, I want you to write the word comfort, or your comfort zone. Over here, I want you to write abundance. And over here, I want you to write the word regret. And we, in terms of life, might be someplace along this path. Some of us are older than others, you know, but wherever we are, we have choices in life. And could we make the next 5 or 10 years amazing? Yes, if we choose to, if we take the right choices, right? So what we want to do here is realize that most people are governed by fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. Well, these fears kind of hold us back. And as Napoleon Hill said, you have 2 masters. One is fear, or you have faith. If you have fear, you never take action, or you tend to not take action. If you have faith, you take action. Which is the better one? Which one is going to empower you more? The faith or the fear? No question. So we have to have faith, right? And I have faith in 3 major areas. The 3 major areas for me are the following. 1, I have faith in God, whatever that means to you and myself, right? Second, I have faith in self. I have complete faith that I can do anything and everything in my life. How many people would like to have that level of certainty? Then it starts with the belief, doesn't it? Right? So we have to have that faith. And then my next faith piece is that I always believe that tomorrow will be a brighter day. So no matter where you are right now, maybe you're in the winter right now, things aren't going well for you, but right after winter, what comes around? Spring, which means we have a chance to plant. We have a chance to grow. Does that make sense to everybody, right? So wherever you are is fine. We just want to make sure we're making the right choices. And what happens for a lot of people is they don't realize, right, that, you know, if they follow the fear piece, the future's not good. In fact, the future's pretty bare. 22% of the population at age 67 in the UK must continue to work, right? Why do they have to continue to work? Because they didn't have a plan or take opportunity when it came and it was available, right? So we definitely want to make sure we're taking that opportunity. 28% rely on government, 45% rely on family, 4% meet the basic needs on life, and only 1% are truly financially independent. Who wants to be part of that financial independence? Then you have to have faith. You can't let fear control you. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of loss, that can't control you. In fact, I'm going to suggest you need to confront that fear head on. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? And that makes the fear in our business as well. Because we have fears in our business. For example, how many people here are afraid of buying or getting an employee because you do it better? Right? That's a fear that your business is going to fail because they're not as good as you. And what's going to happen is you'll never be able to walk away as long as you have that fear, right? You have to make sure that you conquer that fear. Does that make sense to everybody, right? So we definitely want to get rid of that to get to that 1%, right? 1% of the population, right? Confront those fears. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to find a page, on that page where it says abundance and fear. What I want you to do is to write down your personal fears. On the other side of fears are your dreams and goals, no question. So we definitely want to conquer that fear. So you've written down your personal goals. Now what I'd like you to do is to think about business, your business in particular, and what are the fears around your business? What are the fears that are holding you back about your business? Is it trusting somebody else to do the work? Is it you don't have the skill set? Is it you don't believe that you're worthy of making £1 million a year? What's the fear that's holding you back in business? Everybody got at least one fear down? I see some of you have multiple, so let's deal with all of them, right? And I'm going to suggest to you something that Robin said to me decades ago. When fear raises its ugly head, you have to step forward. If you're afraid, you must step forward, right? If you're afraid of loss, you got to step forward. If you're afraid of rejection, you got to step forward. Does that mean that you're always progressing as opposed to being held back, right? You know, there's some great quotes out there, right, that help me with respect to that. One of them is by John Wayne that says, courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway, okay? So we definitely want to make sure we're pushing. Eleanor Roosevelt said this, right? Every day you should do something that scares you to get over it, to move to the next level with respect to it. So we definitely want to confront those fears, you know? Nelson Mandela said, a brave man feels afraid but conquers fear, right? We definitely want to make sure. If I can't, I must, right? Those kind of belief systems. And fear does hold us back, guys, right? In fact, fear, you know, generally when opportunity happens, what do? An opportunity pops its head up, what do? Most people, average person. They walk away or what? They say no, right? So the opportunity happens. Why do they say no? It's not just procrastination, it's actually fear. Procrastination is fear being hidden, right? We're procrastinating because we're afraid we might lose money. We're procrastinating because we're afraid we're not capable of doing it. Does that make sense to everybody, right? It all comes down to that fear element. And most people, when they have an opportunity, what they do is they run away, right? They go, okay, fear, right, I'm afraid, right? And then another opportunity, another opportunity. In fact, it has said that there are 7 major opportunities in life from age 25 through 65. 7 of them. I know one that I missed out on. Would you like to know what it is? I could have bought Bitcoin at $100. What's it at? 65,000 nowadays? Was that a mistake? Could I have taken a couple of $100 and just thrown it away and have a couple of 100,000 more in my life? Is everybody with me? But it was the fear of, well, that's kind of a waste. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't think it's going to work. You know, I'm wasting my money. You know, and that fear, right? I didn't know the future was going to be 65,000. You're doing the same, right? Okay. The 2 pounds, there you go, right? But that opportunity happens, and most people will not step up. What they'll do is they'll say, I'll put my head in the sand like an ostrich, and I'll ignore the opportunity, right? And what happens with that is they miss the first one, and then it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit which takes them down the negative cycle, right? First opportunity happens, they say no. Second opportunity happens, they say no. Third opportunity happens, they say no. Now they're conditioned every time an opportunity happens, they don't evaluate it anymore, they just automatically do what? No, because I'm afraid of success, afraid of failure, afraid of losing money, whatever that might be. And that leads to regrets. And what are some of the major regrets in life, right? Some of the major regrets in life are, geez, I wish I'd travel more. Geez, I wish I'd spend more time with my family. Geez, I wish I'd risked more. I wish I'd taken that opportunity that I missed out on. Is everybody with me here, right? I don't hear anybody on their deathbed saying I should have worked more. What are they normally saying? I should have enjoyed life more. I should have taken more risk. I should have done that business. They should have all over themselves, right? So we definitely need to make sure that that's not in our future. How many people do not want that in their future? Put your hands up nice and high. Then you got to say yes to opportunities. You've got to say yes to the challenges. You've got to say yes to the fears. If speaking is a fear, what must you do? Speak, right? If you're afraid of heights, what must you do? Well, don't take a step, but take a jump. Take a jump, right? Right? You know, what do you think some of my greatest fears in life were? Number 1 fear for me since age 6, public speaking, right? Terrified, hands would sweat, mouth would cotton ball, couldn't get my name out, right? Have I gotten over that fear a little bit? No, not at all, right? Just a little bit, right? Second major fear for me, heights, right? Get heights, I get dizzy, I get vertigo, right? You know, so guess what I did? I went skydiving with Tony Robbins, right? Got in his jet helicopter, going over the waves at 150 miles an hour, right, to the airport, got on a plane and jumped out of the plane, right? No fear of heights anymore. Couldn't sleep on a plane before. because now I have a new appreciation for what it means. Dan, the difference between you last year and this year is you have confidence in speaking, don't you? Changes your life, doesn't it? How many people want to change their lives? Got to conquer that fear. Would you like a little bit of help with that, by the way? Just 5 of you, okay. So you 5 stay, everybody else can go. How many else would like some help? Right? There we go, right? You know, so we definitely want to make sure we're pushing that. And your life can change in the moment. Your life can change in the moment that you decide to tap your full potential and stop letting fear control your life, whatever that fear may be, right? So constantly challenge yourself, move yourself forward with respect to it. In fact, you have 2 choices in life. You can say no, right? Or you can say yes. I believe that you should be saying what? Yes. Anybody watch the movie, the Yes Man, where he says yes to everything? Did he go in a different direction? Yeah, no question, right, Calvin? Some of the times he liked that, some of the times he didn't, right? I kind of believe when you say no, it's kind of like that frog in the pot metaphor. Does anybody know the frog in the pot metaphor? Some of you don't, all right? So if you take a boiling pot of water and you take a bullfrog and throw the bullfrog in the hot water, the bullfrog will jump out right away because it knows it's going to die immediately. Is everybody with me? You take the same water, cold, on the stove, put the bullfrog in the water, and slowly turn up the heat. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to have frog's legs, right? Bullfrog's going to get baked, right? That's the job. The job is slowly taking you to death. And what you want to do is you want to interrupt that pattern and make a shift and a change now so the next year, the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years are amazing. Who wants to make that shift, right? Then you got to take those choices now. Does that make sense, right? So we definitely want to have more yeses, right? Only those who are going to risk too far can possibly know how far they can go. How many people realize they're not reaching their full potential yet? Then you've got to take action with respect to that, right? Every single day, right? So when the choices happen, right, what you do is you don't say no to them. What do you do? Say yes, right? You have a chance to build a business. What should you do? Build it. You have a chance to grow your business. What should you do? Grow it. Is everybody with me here? The more risk you take, the more rewards you get. The more risk you take, the more rewards you get. In fact, how many people want to become a legend in their life? I didn't, but somehow I got there. And I'm so glad I'm the living legend, by the way, right? But I chose literally 25 years ago to be a legend. I wanted to be remembered for impacting lives. I want to be remembered for doing incredible things. You have that same potential within you. How do I know that? I'm a dumb jock, right? I should not be here. My guidance counselor said I should be an electrician. If I'd have listened to those voices, I wouldn't listen to my own voice, which said, I want to become as much as I can. Literally, here's what happens, guys. See, when you take that first opportunity and you go through the door, what's amazing is the average person gets 7 amazing opportunities in their lifetime from age 25 through 65. And when you go through that first door, guess what happens? More doors. 7 more doors, 15 more doors, right? You go through that door and guess what happens? 7 more doors. There's an unlimited number of doors, right? So it's amazing. It's the journey, right? That piece. I know this to be true because it happened for me. I took a job in a Fortune 500 company, right? One of my mentors said, Jim, you really need to get over that fear of public speaking, right? You also need to realize that your staff don't like you. You're a taskmaster, right? You're 247% of budget, but people don't like you. Outside of work, they like you, but in work, man, you're a bear, right? And I would use the whip, right? Or the carrot. The stick or the carrot. Stick or the carrot. That was it. Right? So you either liked me or you hated me. If you were getting results, you liked me. And if you weren't, you hated me. Is everybody with me? And my mentor said, Coach Cliff Williams said, Jim, you got to change that. You got to get over the fear of public speaking, and you really need to learn how to manage people and talk to people more effectively. So guess what skill I learned? I went to a workshop. I went to a workshop. When I went to that workshop, I mastered the skill of social styles. Right? The 4 types of people. And that allowed me to communicate more in their styles than my styles, right? Spent $500 to do that, 3-day workshop. By the way, do I teach social styles nowadays? Yes, I've made over $1 million teaching social styles. So was spending that $500 for a 3-day workshop worth it for me to master that skill set? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. Anytime you learn about influence, that's a great thing. Is this making sense to everybody? Yes. Are you getting some gems from Jim? Oh, yes. All right, good, right? So we definitely want to make sure. The next thing is, I went to a Tony Robbins workshop. $500, then $4,000 of my own money, because the company paid for the first $500, right? And at the workshop, Robbins said, geez, I'm looking for other people to teach my programs, right? And he had a franchise that was 20,000 US, right? Now I was making 60 grand at the time. Is 20 grand a lot of money for somebody that's making 60? 10,000 on a credit card, that's all I have in terms of my credit. And then I have a little bit of savings and a pension plan, right? And I'm the first person that runs to the back and says, sign me up, right? Why? Because he had impacted my life so much. Is everybody with me? I wanted to teach his programs. I bought the franchise from 20 grand, 10 on a credit card, another 10 out of my pension, right? Took the penalty, didn't care about that because I wanted it. Set a goal of making $250,000 the next year. Didn't make the 245, didn't make the 250, made 245. Is that a pretty good investment? See, it's never about the investment, the cost, it's always about the result, right? The ROI, the return on investment. Does that make sense to everybody? But so many people look at the cost and not the result, right? And I've realized there's another cost if you don't do it. If you don't do it, I wouldn't be standing in front of you. Is everybody with me here? That was great. My Robbins did $245,000. I promoted Tony, first firewalk in Toronto, Canada, right? 300 people at $300 each. Another good chunk of change, right? And then other speakers noticed that I was promoting Tony. So guess what they asked me to do? Promote them. So Ken Blanchard asked me to promote him. Brian Tracy asked me to promote him. Are these pretty well-known people? And they became friends. They became partners. They became associates, right? Because networking capital is more important than what? Financial capital. How many people here want to get around successful people? Right? So definitely the proximity to power is the great piece. Became a speaker, met a guy named Charles Givens. Anybody know who he is? No. Financial best-selling author in the US. His seminar business back 25 plus years ago was doing 150 million front end and 150 million back end. That's, $30 million back 25 odd years ago, which is what, 1.5 billion nowadays? Is that a pretty good coach or a mentor to learn from? Yes, he wanted me to speak, like to bring him up to speak because I was promoting speakers. And then he invited me down to spend some time with him. And then 6 months later, I became a partner with him, right? We did a program called Super Self, Super Mind, right? We did $6 million the first year, and I got 10% of the gross. How much did I make that year? 600 grand just on his side. I still had other businesses on the other side. Is everybody with me? Right? He was really into property. I had done a workshop with a guy named Robert Allen about property about 6 months earlier. He was into property as well, became my coach, became my mentor. I got into the property game. 2 deals my first year, 6 my next year, 36 my next year, 130, right? Is that a pretty good success story, right? Would not have done that if I hadn't done what? Done the workshop on social styles, done the workshop with Tony Robbins, taken that opportunity to move forward because it opened up other doors, right? Chuck in the 3rd year said, Jim, you're doing 36 properties. Why don't you teach some of our programs? Fantastic. 5 years later, he dies, right? There's a hole in the marketplace. He's no longer out there in the marketplace. Guess what I do? Build my own seminar company, right? Go from 0 to 108 million in 4 years. And then have the opportunity to meet Adam and Liam and be partners with them. Is that a cool story? Why do I tell you that? Because it's about opening the doors. If you open the doors, more doors will open for you. And then what's amazing is people start saying to yourself, boy, you're just lucky. It's not I'm lucky, it's what? I listen to my coaches and I step forward. Is everybody with me here? If you're afraid, do what? Take a step. If you're afraid, take a step, right? Does that make sense to everybody, right? And I'm not saying I'm great, guys. I am, but besides that, what I'm saying is you get those opportunities and they lead to more doors and more opportunities. Does that make sense to everybody?
Well, there we go. Part 1, part 2, personal power. We really hope you've enjoyed that session, got some incredible golden nuggets. Please make sure you leave us some questions or comments below, subscribe to the channel, and look, just make sure that you head over to www.assetsforlife.co.uk and grab some amazing free training. What a great session. Thanks very much, Jim.
Excellent, excellent. Make sure you make your life a masterpiece by taking action today.
Fantastic. And I'll see you in the next episode.